Alright, so good morning. My name is Steve Bilby. I am doing the reveal on the Recoil strategy for Alpha Shark starting today. This will be the first time that's being made available so that you can purchase it if you like it. This I first always have to do, number one, there, okay. Uh, Risk disclaimer. Any trading that you do, you take on your own risk. I am not a licensed broker. I cannot give buy, sell, hold advice. Okay? Just know that trading involves risk, and you're accepting that responsibility for that risk. I caution, never use money that you need to pay your mortgage payment or buy groceries or make your car payment or make your alimony payment or anything else. Don't use that money in trading. Okay? The screen is not. Is it not showing? Hang on a second. It's not, is it? Well, that's strange. I started this thing and now. Oh, hang on. I know what's going on here. There we go. Okay, I had it on the wrong screen. I apologize for that. Okay, so you should see it now, correct? And so just to back up one screen, we're going over the recoil strategy here. This is not unusual options just yet. That's in an hour from now, or less than an hour from now. And again, I will shut this down early, so you will need to re-enter in Citrix. You will need to re-enter Citrix if you want to watch the unusual options class. Okay, this is a quick, probably 50 minutes on the recoil strategy. We'll make the offer available for you to purchase if you want. Okay, so back to. Okay, again, you're assuming the own risk. Don't use money that you need for other things. This should be capital that you can afford to lose in your trading. Okay, we are not giving any buy, sell, hold advice on any of the following screens. It is simply for educational purposes only. Alright, let's move on. Okay, who am I? I'm somebody who used to work for IBM, have not worked for IBM for, 16 years now. Alright, was a computer engineer. As part of my engineering trading, I took a lot of classes in math, science, a whole bunch of other stuff. So it was a very easy transition for me once I was gone from IBM to move into trading. I started trading in the year 2002. I'm pretty much self-taught. I started trading as a lot of other people do with stocks and options. A few years after that, I started to learn futures and absolutely fell in love with the futures market. That is my primary market. Okay. A year later, I learned Forex, and that actually became my second favorite market. So options are actually my third market, even though with Alpha Shark, I'm in the room, in the trading room, to teach options quite a lot. And for those of you who are members of that trading room, you'll notice me. I'm in the last hour of the day, and I concentrate mostly on options in there. But you'll occasionally see me talking a little bit about futures and stuff like that, even though Alpha Shark is not a futures trading room. It's mainly an options one, but I do get into some of those strategies. Okay. Over the years that I have been trading, I've created a lot of my own strategies. I made available the first one called Catapult less than a year ago. I'm now making available this one, but I have a wealth of things to draw upon, and those of you who are in the room probably are well aware that I can draw upon a wealth of information and teach you a lot of stuff just because of my own experiences and a lot of the self-taught education that I've gone through. I mean, I have gone through tons of videos on YouTube, attended lots of free webinars, even attended some that I paid for, especially the ones from Alpha Shark that I was willing to pay for because I am a former customer of Alpha Shark for many years. And when they finally invited me to become a moderator in the trade room and become part of the staff, I welcomed that chance because I truly believe that Alpha Shark offers some of the best material that you can buy anywhere. I've run a different trade room besides Alpha Shark. I've run a different trade room for 5 years prior to me joining this one. I've created multiple web videos that are available, not on YouTube though. They have to be asked for specifically. But there's a bunch of them, probably over the years, 20 to 30 of them. But they're not free, so I, I'm not going to even concentrate that subject. There are a wealth of topics, but I'm not going to get into them. Okay, forget that part. All right, why this strategy? I'll kind of get into that, get a little bit about the basic setup, show you some live examples, things like that. The construction of this indicator is basically using several moving averages, okay? But it's under the covers. You don't really have to see that, all right? The underlying programming is there. I make available an RSI for a confirming indicator and stuff like that. But it's not necessary that you have to understand all that. All you're looking for is arrows. Arrows that tell you get in the trade. And in a very near future, we will have some enhancements to say where to get out of the trade. For right now, as part of the free mentoring that you're going to get, you're going to see some money management so that you understand where you should place some stops, where you should place some target prices and stuff like that for now. Okay? But all you're doing is looking for the arrows. An extremely simple system. The reason it's a momentum system is because it's getting you into the trade when your risk is low. We all know about multiples that we want to have in our risk to our reward. And so we're getting into this when the risk is still low, such that if you do get stopped out, you're risking very little compared to the potential rewards that you can reap with this particular strategy. All right, so it's based on getting in there just at the right time as the momentum is ready to accelerate. Very quick visual cues that you're going to see. It's basically the arrows. Okay, you'll see a couple moving averages on the charts just to kind of help guide you in case you need those to fall back on. That's fine. It will work on anything that you trade, whether it's Forex, whether it's futures, whether it's stocks and options, ETFs, indexes, whatever you have, it'll work. It'll work on any time frame. Daily, weekly, hourly, 4-hour charts, 15-minute charts, 5-minute charts. I do want to caution you, however, that what it starts out with the small time frames is not as reliable for signals as the longer time frames. You will have more losing trades with very small time frames than you do with daily time frames. But that is true with almost any indicator that you can buy out there. Okay? The platforms it works on, we are starting this today with thinkorswim and TradingView. It is our hope that we can add TradeStation and we can add Ninja version 8 in the near future. That's still dependent on getting the right programmers together, but it is ready to go on TradingView and on thinkorswim. So many of you Bitcoin and cryptocurrency traders that rely on the TradingView platform, this indicator will work for that type of trading. And of course, if you rely on the TradingView platform, it's there. Okay. I typically rely on the Thinkorswim platform for most of my stuff, Sterling. Okay. All right. You can combine this with other indicators if you so choose. The scanner, I believe, is just about coded completely. I just got to get it from the programmer. So if you're purchasing this weekend, you'll get the indicator and stuff probably Monday morning when the staff is back in the office to verify all the credit card orders and stuff like that. And if I've got it ready, you'll get the scanner along with it. If not, it'll probably follow within a week or two. You will, like I said, you can work with other indicators. So if you'd like to kind of get confirmation with Ichimoku Cloud or any of the other stuff that's offered by Alpha Shark, you're welcome to do so. Okay. Typically on the rules, you must see two things occurring. Candlesticks that are either breaking or bouncing off of a particular moving average, and the moving averages can be set by you. A lot of this stuff is variable. Plus, you want to see an RSI as a confirming indicator. Now, with the installed videos that are there, it tells you to bring on the RSI indicator that's already resident in the platform. There's not a special RSI that has to be done, but there are special settings for the RSI that have to be employed, and they are talked about in the installed videos. Okay, basically to enter the trade, you're just gonna go by the arrows. All right, when they appear at the end and the time frame is ending, that's when you're going to enter the trade. Now, plotting stops and stuff is going to be one of the future enhancements. It won't take very long to do it, but in the meantime, until it is actually there, we're going to work with some ATRs on stocks. We're going to work with futures at a $100 stop, and we're going to work with pips on Forex to be 30 pips. That's the standard that we're going to work with. Okay. Profit targets, that's also a future enhancement, so I don't want to get into that. In fact, I'm going to actually, well, I will in the mentoring get into this, managing your stops. We will teach this much, much greater. There's not time to do it today because we've got to get out of here. But we will talk about various ways to manage stops using trend lines, moving averages, something that I call U's in the price candlesticks, Fibonacci's, previous support resistance levels, pivots, big round numbers. There are a ton of ways to manage your stops, and we can employ a mixture, all of them, maybe only one, depending on how you want to work with this thing. But be consistent. It's best to be consistent. Okay? This then is not part of the major stuff, so we will teach you how to use the indicator for options, but it's not necessary to get into that right now. That'll become part of the mentoring that we do, and we will do a free mentoring. All the mentoring on this is free, and you will get your first session within a couple of weeks. We typically do these probably on the second or third Monday of the month, and depending on how many order this thing and the time frame they order, we will probably have to maybe schedule a couple of them in the first month. We will make the recordings available in case you can't be there. All of that stuff will be available to you. Okay. You know what? I'm not going to get into some of these trade examples right now because I want to get into the live examples right now. Okay, so let's do that. Let's reveal what this thing is all about. So I will bring up this one here. Okay. Now I've already designed a bunch of layouts, work layouts and things like that for use with this thing. And many of you who are in the room will realize that a lot of these layouts look very similar to what I use with the catapult system. But for those who aren't big fans of Ichimoku or don't quite understand it or something, that's fine. because we don't use Ichimoku. Let's bring this out for stocks first. So let's just change the layout real quick. And if you've got any various stocks that you're particularly interested in and a certain time frame for their trades, you can let me know and we'll take live examples of that. Okay? For right now, I'll just bring up one of these charts. It happens to be Facebook. And if you prefer, I can actually take out the overnight session. These moving averages will depend on the overnight session unless you say I don't want those to be under consideration. So we'll simply go in here, go to the equities, and say don't show the extended hours. Pre-market, post-market, what have you. Okay, gives me a slightly different set of curves because now the overnight is not there. I've got this set up to a 5-minute chart right now. And as part of that, you'll see a whole bunch of arrows. Some that are light blue, some that are green, some that are red, and some that are kind of magenta colored. Okay? So you'll see these things, and you're probably going, well, what's all that about? Why the different colors? And basically, on this particular configuration, I'm showing two moving averages that I'm mostly interested in. Okay? I've got a baseline that everything gets measured against to know whether I want to be bullish or bearish, and so that's why the baseline shows up. Okay? I've also got the RSI down here, but it's got some special settings for it. You don't see overbought, oversold on this particular setting of the RSI. Okay? Basically, I've got a zero line in here at the 50 level that tells me, does my bullishness or bearishness of my baseline agree with what the RSI is doing, or a confirming indicator. Okay? So with that, I've got two different sets of colored arrows depending on which moving average it's basing signals on. The blue one and the pink one, or, well, it's not pink, it's kind of rose colored. Okay? So if I kind of come into this thing and bring it up a little bit like that and pull this thing across so we can see just what Thursday looked like as opposed to Friday, you'll see that on Facebook, as Facebook had a very nice bullish day post earnings, that if you weren't in this thing prior to the earnings and missed the entire gap that it went through, you still had a chance to trade it based on what was happening that day. So here's the boundary for that day on Thursday morning, post earnings for Facebook, and we came through. But there were various times to be able to re-enter trades and take some of that profit should you so choose. Now, I can filter out some of these arrows. Some of you may say, well, that's a lot of trades to get into, right? Wouldn't you agree? And I says, yeah, I probably would. We will teach you in the mentoring about how we can come in here and edit these studies. Now, when you get the indicator, there is also a second video. Besides the installation, there's a second video that talks a little bit about how to use this thing. And in there, it talks about how you can go in there and change these first two values, delta major, delta minor. It's basically the slope of the moving averages that we're working with. And if you want the slope to be stronger, that indicates a more reliable trade. You will get less trades, but with a stronger slope, you'll have more reliable trades. So basically, if I came in here and I said, let's change these, we'll just kind of pass our cursor over here so that it's highlighted. And all we're going to say is blank it out. And instead of 0.0001, let's just go with 0.01. It's really measuring in a decimal format the slope. Okay? If you go with a 1, that's basically a 90-degree angle. Okay? Nobody really wants to see a 90-degree angle, and so we probably won't use those ever. But we can start, and this will be something you'll want to experiment with, is changing this values, the delta major and the delta minor, such that you can vary the angles and kind of, get less of a sensitivity to the numbers of signals that you're getting. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK on here, and then OK here. Alright, and it has cut down. It may not seem like it, but it has cut down on the number of signals that you've gotten. Okay, let's go in there once again and make it 0.1 instead of 0.01. So we'll go into Edit Studies. Once again, here's the little gear wheel that allows us to vary this stuff. And let's just we can actually increment it if we want. Let's go from 0.01 to 0.11. Hit OK. Still says that the angle isn't strong enough. I still have a lot of signals. Okay. But notice the green one disappeared over here. Okay. The green ones are now out of there. Edit Studies. Do this once more. Let's readjust the minor. Make that 0.11. That's basically looking more for like a 10-degree angle or something like that. Hit enter once again. And now you've only got less. So depending on the slope of the angle that we're working with, you'll be less sensitive, but you'll have more reliable trades. Okay? Helps keep us out that when things are really flat and we don't want to trade in a flat environment, we really want to trade when things are good. Momentum is to the upside. That's what we're looking for. Okay? In like fashion, if I pull this thing over to the previous day before Facebook was, had earnings, you can kind of see now where before I had a whole bunch of magenta colored lines and some rose colored lines depending on the angle of the moving averages I'm working with. Now I have much less of them. Okay, if I once again come in here, raise the angle a little bit more strongly. Okay. Let's use the minor here. Let's bump it up a little bit more. 0.21. Now I've only got a couple. Okay, so it's talking about a stronger angle that you want to work with. Alright, now that's just one example. That's Facebook. It's based on a 5-minute chart. If I were to put this on, say, a 15-minute chart or something like that, okay, it's going to only look for the best signals on a 15-minute period. And again, you'll see, well, I had one on Tuesday, I had one on a different moving average on Wednesday. Now I've got strong angles on these, so you're not seeing anything on Thursday or Friday in either direction. Okay, so it's all about the sensitivity and the slope of the angles. Alright, I see that someone wants to take a look at Boeing for a swing trade. So let's do Boeing here. And I've still got this set to a couple of the higher slopes, and as a result, based on one of the moving averages, I've got a signal right here. Okay, and it's based off of this slightly longer term moving average right here. Actually gave a couple trades, and then based on moves on a tighter moving average, I've got some of the light blue signals. So on this particular set of charts, I've got one magenta over here. I've got a couple of light blues and a couple of greens on these other days. Now if I vary that angle, give it a more gentle slope that I'm looking for, I can go and either click here and go to Studies and Edit Studies, or I can simply use the gear wheel right here, bring up the same type of a thing. Nope, that's wrong. Never mind. It's this thing here that allows me to edit it. Okay, so I'm coming into here, bringing down the angle somewhat, so I'll decrement that, And maybe let's go to 05 or something. Okay, 0.05. Whoops. 0.05. Do the same thing with the major. This is making it more sensitive, so we should see more signals. And now you do. Okay. Again, this is off a 15-minute chart. Let's take it to an hourly. And now you'll see on a longer time frame, which is very suitable for swing trading, just how many signals you're getting. You know, one on that day, one on that day, one on that day, one there. So you're basically getting signals. Here because it was very flat, it's still, and it's very sensitive, it's picking up signals on a very flat day. Something you may not want to do. So you might want to increase the angle of the slope so that it's not as sensitive and picking up as many as it has here. Okay? So that's Boeing. Are there any others? Yes, Mark, you can add the Heiken Ashi candles to this if you so choose. You can use Ichimoku with it as an extra confirmation if you so choose. You know, I know a lot of folks who will say, I want to see what the moving averages are doing, but I also want to see which side of the cloud I am on. You know, what type of bias I ought to be expecting, that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Yes, Chris, this is being recorded, not through Citrix, but through Camtasia. So I will have a recording available if we choose to use it. We may use snippets of the recording in future broadcasts, what have you. Mark, okay, we already answered that. Currently trading spot Forex to build my cash inventory so I can trade other financial instruments. Yes, you bet. You want to see an example of Forex on here? Here's an example of the euro. Again, this is on an hourly chart with the 20-day. However, I will caution that with Forex, this is where you want to get into moving these things down into pip ranges. Okay, so I've got these set at 0.05. All right, right now that's like 500 pips. Okay, so it's not going to really give you very much to go by. If I bring this down to say 10 pips, .001 would be a value of 10 pips. We can even get this down to 5 digits, you know, on the order of a tenth of a pip if you so choose. We have that capability. Let's go 5 pips for the one with the minor. Okay, flag that, and now you're starting to see some signals show up with the euro based on smaller pip values. So there are trades in here on a 1 hour chart. Okay, if you want to go with something smaller, certainly can. Bring it down to a 15-minute. There's still signals in here. The euro hasn't done a whole lot of movement, you know, lately, because it's kind of been basing off the dollar. One that did have some big moves was pound yesterday, based on their GDP, I believe, which was a disaster for them. Probably took off the table the fact that they were going to raise rates in May, like they were originally planning. So you can see the signal that was raised at that point in time when the news came out about their GDP gave you a very nice signal to get into that one. Okay. Um, let's see if you want to check ES and the choppiness of ES over the last few days on a 15-minute chart. You can see there are a number of signals that are made available to you. All right. Let's see. Pound dollar. Oh, we just did pound dollar on a 30-minute chart. Okay, let's go back to the 30-minute chart. You must have a special little keyboard there, Femi, to give you the symbols for pound dollar. I had to look at that a little bit to understand what you were actually asking me. Okay, so there's a 30-minute chart on the pound dollar using the sensitivity levels that we already had in there. Okay. Peter, can you use the ES on a 5-minute chart, please? Yeah, I think we just looked at it on a 15, so let's look at it again. Using the same sensitivity levels, move it to a 5-minute. Okay, quite a few of them showing up. And that's only because we've got it kind of set to very sensitive, like almost like as if a 4x type of a trade. Very small increments. Okay. We can filter those out though, once again, by making these larger. Okay. And now you see some of these came off, but not all of them. There's still quite a few on a 5-minute chart. We can up this or tone down the sensitivity just a little bit more. And now we've decreased some here. Still quite a few here. When it's really moving, dialing up the slope of that angle really gives you the strongest trades. Okay. How am I doing on time? Okay, I still got a little bit of time. Let me keep getting through these questions here. Yes. Oh, it says he's left. David says, can you reiterate again? Signals are stronger on a 5-minute, 15-minute versus daily. Okay, no, they're stronger on a daily. The smaller the time interval you use, the less reliable of a trade that works out that you will have. In other words, daily charts, when you're getting these signals, will usually lead to a stronger trade, a more reliable trade, less losers. Okay, sorry David's not here to hear that, but that's what we have. Okay. You can use it in conjunction with Catapult if you choose, Peter. It's up to you. They'll be somewhat complementary. One of the cautions I say is if you have arrows saying get in on this one, but you don't have arrows getting in on Catapult, then which one are you going to trade? That's the big question. Alright, plus you'll probably need to program the colors of the arrows because the arrows here are very similar to some of the arrows that we have with Catapult. And so just like you can change the color here, you can also go in and change the color of the arrows on Catapult so you can distinguish between them. So right here, you come down to this lower portion and you see where it says up signal, down signal on the major and up signal and down signal on the minor. Look at the colors that are here when I do that. Okay, I've got green, I've got rose color or red, here's my light blue on the minor, and here's my magenta on the minor. So with Catapult, I oftentimes change that to white. You know, I've got the signals under Catapult that when I'm in this lower portion and I'm moving between these things and I see green and red, I often just change them to white. That way I can distinguish them between other indicators if I need to do that. And you can use this in conjunction with triple confirmation. You can use it with the volume shark from Lance. And again, you may need to change your arrow colors because a lot of stuff with Lance has very similar colors. You know why? Because they came from the same programmer, Brian, at Alpha Shark. Okay? So Brian's in the habit of using very similar colors. All right? Even though Lance is colorblind. Okay. I'll get out of this for now. Triple Qs. You bet, Joe. This is one of our ETFs. And I've got it on a 5-minute chart. And of course I've dialed up the sensitivity, so you've only got just one of the minor signals showing here. If I decrease that sensitivity somewhat, I'll probably get a few more indications coming in. So let's bring that down and that down. And now I've got a few more signals coming through. Okay. Peter, because I'm doing this new indicator, they've stopped the mentoring sessions on Catapult. However, all the recordings are still available. There's really nothing that I haven't talked about on Catapult that's not already available in those recordings. So if you have the Catapult system, you have access to those recordings. There's really nothing new to talk about. The last one we did was March. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March. There should be 7 recordings available. I thought I was supposed to do one in April, but when I looked at the schedule, they didn't have one set up for me. Gary says, no, just to reiterate that for Gary and anybody else who joined late, because I see a number of you have joined late here, thinking this is going to be the unusual options. That comes next in about 20 minutes. So when I turn off, I have to shut down this one so that the unusual or Citrix can use this for the unusual options activity webinar. You will have to re-enter. I apologize for that. I'll try to give you plenty of time to re-enter, so I try to get through all these questions as quickly as possible. All right, but you will have to re-enter Citrix to get into the unusual options activity. Okay, this is not that. This is the recoil indicator. Okay, Gary? So don't worry, you're in the right place. You're just a little early. Peter says Catapult on ES 5-minute charts not working well recently. Almost every time a short signal comes, ES immediately goes the other way, or vice versa. Yes, you are correct, Peter. And from the let's just do this. Yes, I can add it. I can add. No, I need to actually set up. Load study set, and I believe let's see, I'm not sure that I called it Catapult. Oh, I did call it. Okay. There. Okay. Let's go to ES. Now, as part of mentoring, okay, we have taught several times in the recordings that when the cloud is flat, okay, when the cloud is flat, that is not the time to be taking those trades. You need something to be showing that it's breaking out. In other words, a cloud that's got a slope to it, like this. Those are the signals you want to have. So something like here where you got a signal, your stop was set up here, your stop was well, it got close, but it never, took the stop. So one signal that takes you all the way up to both target levels. is what you're looking for, because cloud has slope to it. Okay? That's what we're looking for. When it's flat, you're going to get signals in both directions that are going to get stopped out. Okay? And I think I brought that out several times in recordings. But this is a recoil session, so let's get back to that. Okay, when you talk about reprint, Femi, what are you actually meaning? Because my definition of reprint an arrow may mean something else. I know that Raul used to talk about ghost arrows and things like that showing up, so I kind of need to know what you're meaning by reprint. What's wrong with the sound, Scott? I think everybody else has sound. So if you want to define that, I'll try to do that. Mark has a question. It says, nice downward moves for the Euro 15-minute chart. Spot Forex is true day trading in my opinion. No uptick rule and a great way to learn day trading in my opinion. I like it too. It's one of my second favorite things to do. I still like futures the most because of the leverage that it offers. Forex also offers leverage. Options give me leverage, so I like those more than just plain stock trading. Okay. So I agree with you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Says it looks like it'll work. Great job developing this. Thank you, Mark. All right, I'm not getting any reply back from Femi on this reprint. Okay, so let me tell you what I think you're telling me. Oh, okay. Once an arrow prints, does it stay printed or does it shift when there is a change in the trend? Because few candles down the road. All right, okay, so let me tell you. Yes, and I think you and I are on the same page. Okay, so let's come back. Studies. Load study, recoil with the whoops, just lost it. Studies, load study, recoil with RSI. All right. We typically talk in terms of it may, if there's movement through a moving average that kind of goes through and then comes back, goes through, comes back. It'll start to print and may disappear until the end of that time frame. Once the end of that time frame is there, that's the point at which you want to enter. Okay? Now, in this particular instance, as you can see right in this area right here, okay, let's just let's take that much, okay? So as you see a signal moving through some moving averages and then it comes back. Alright, then it moves through again. So you'll get another signal. It's not like Catapult where it only exists once and you have to understand it's still a valid signal. In this one, it'll reprint when it's getting a new signal. Okay? And it's only valid. In other words, let's say this is the beginning of a 5 minutes and you see an arrow right away. You really want to wait till the end of the 5 minutes to take that trade. Okay? So I hope that helps understand that. I want to kind of get close. Okay, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I want to get close to shutting this down now because the questions are starting to tail off. Okay, so here's the offer one more time. All right. So like I said, it's set up for Thinkorswim already today and TradingView. By buying this today, you will also get your first month free in the trade room. Okay, now I realize most of you already have that. You're already in the trade room. That's why you're here for the unusual options activity. Okay, so there's no sense in actually getting an extra credit for that because you're already getting it at a discounted price. But if you're brand new and are not part of the trade room, you will get your first month free. Okay? Any enhancements are free for life. Like I said, I've already mentioned the scanner is coming. and actual trade exits with stop and targets are coming. And it won't take very long to put them in, probably less than 2 weeks. So you'll be getting a new enhancement probably within that time frame. Okay? Other platforms may take a little longer, so you may want to allow maybe as much as a month. Okay? Coaching is free. Okay? You will get at least one per month. Again, the normal price on the website will default to $9.99, but if you go to this particular thing, and I'll type that into the chat box in case you want to know, you get it for $2.99 with the enhancements that are coming. Okay, in the mentoring sessions we will go over how, once again, how to dial down the sensitivity, how to change the colors, how to, if you want, you can remove one of those moving averages and only work with one of the two. I'll show you how to vary to which moving averages you're most interested in. A whole lot of stuff will come in the mentoring. Okay? Anyways, in your chat box is a link that you can click on. When you click on that link, it's going to look like this. With the special price already in it. Just fill out your name, address, all that stuff with your credit card, and you will be sent an email with install videos, with an initial training video, and links to make it work on both TradingView and Thinkorswim. And in the future, if the other platforms show up, you'll have all 4 links for platforms if you choose. So if you're one of those that trades off of different platforms like that and want to have access to all of them, you will get all of them for free. Alright? So TradeStation and Ninja 8 are being thought of for the future. It just depends on how soon we get the programmers for that. Okay? So, any other final questions before I shut this down so that you guys can re-enter for unusual options activity? Again, this was the Recoil indicator, and you'll need to re-enter Citrix to do the unusual options activity workshop. So, any other questions on that? Again, enhancements are free. If you're not already a member of the trade room, you'll get your first month free in the trade room. You'll get coaching free, and that's a really good time to ask lots of questions. It's when we have the once a month, or maybe, depending on how soon we do this. I'm expecting, though, the first coaching session to be within a couple of weeks. Alright? No further questions? Alright, I'm going to shut this down. Please re-enter again for unusual options activity. I thank you for being a part of this today. And if you come back in for unusual options, believe me, that's a treat. You're going to have a good time in that class. So thank you again, and we will talk on some future sales presentations or whatever, and in the trade room as well. Bye.